Hey guys, I thought I'd make a video for students who are just getting started on the clarinet today. And one of the first things that a clarinet player has to worry about is just setting up their instrument. It takes a lot of steps to do it right, and I thought I should make a video for students who want to take the clarinet home, and they can follow along with this video, maybe pause it at certain steps, or just watch it a few times to make sure they're doing the right steps. Today we'll just go through setting it up, and then on the next video we'll talk about taking it apart and putting it away properly. Okay, so the clarinet case, you always want to open it with the Yamaha side facing upwards. Go ahead and open it. The very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my reed out of my reed guard, and I keep it in my mouth just to keep it wet. So I put this part, the top part here, in my mouth. I'm going to take it out for this video so I can talk and you can understand what I'm saying, but the entire time you're setting up your clarinet, you can just leave it in your mouth. Okay, so if this is the first time you're playing a clarinet, it's probably been cleaned, and these parts here, and there's a couple other spots, those are made of cork, so those will be very dry. You're going to want to take some cork grease. It looks like chapstick, but it's not chapstick. And apply that to these cork spots. So I'll take a little bit, rub it on, not too much so it's super chunky, maybe about that much. And then take my finger and just apply that all the way around, spread it out. And do that to the various spots on the clarinet where there are cork. I think there's about 4 spots. Okay, so I'm going to take this part here called the upper joint. It's the part that has this logo on it. I'm going to hold that with my right hand like this. And then I'm going to put my thumb on this key right there. It's the biggest hole, that one. And I'm going to keep that held down like that. With my other hand, in my left hand, I'm going to hold the lower joint. That's the one that has 3 silver rings on it like that, and it's a little bit longer. I'm going to join the upper joint to the lower joint where the cork meets the part with no cork. And I also want to line up the keys so they're in a straight line. I'm going to put it together just by twisting it gently back and forth, until it's all the way in. And again, I'm keeping my thumb holding down this key that whole time. And then when it's together, all these keys should be lined up in a row, and that looks good. So now I've got the upper joint attached to the lower joint. The next step I like to do is put on this part here called the bell. That's going to go at the bottom of the clarinet, at the bottom of the lower joint. You're going to twist it on like so. Try not to squeeze these keys too hard with the other hand. You don't want to do any damage. And again, twist it on until it's on nice and snug. If you really want, you can face that Yamaha logo forward, so everything's facing forward. Alright, so again, you still have your reed in your mouth this whole time. It's getting nice and wet so it will work when it's time to play. The next part I'm going to use is the barrel. That goes on the top of the clarinet. If you try and do the barrel upside down, it's not going to fit. So if it's not going on, just flip it. And then same as before, hold on to the clarinet with one hand, don't hurt the keys. And twist that part on. There. Next part is our mouthpiece. The mouthpiece is sort of easy to make a mistake. You can have it backwards, but one easy way to remember is it has a Yamaha there, and it also might have a number and a letter there if it's not worn off. And that part should be facing forward, just like our Yamaha logo here is facing forward, that's facing forward, and that's facing the front. Everything should be facing the front. And the part that's facing me is the part of the mouthpiece that actually has an opening here. That's the part that should be facing me when I'm holding the clarinet. Okay, here's the fun part, the reed. So let's pretend I had it in my mouth this whole time. I'll take it out, and I only hold my reed by the bottom part of the wood here. I don't want to touch this top part of the wood because it's kind of flimsy. It's very thin, it's very breakable, so I don't touch that. I'm going to need to place this reed over top of the mouthpiece hole, not too high, like that, and not too low, so that there's a big gap like that. I want to place it right about there, just near the top. You can see just a sliver of the top of the mouthpiece, but not that much. So I find that spot that I like, right there. I'm going to hold it in place with my left thumb. With my available hand, I'm going to grab this part here called the ligature. It's made of metal. It's got 2 screws, and I'm going to loosen it a little bit. In the future, it would probably be smart to have this loose before you start the step so that you can just put it right on. You'll figure out what that is for your instrument. Alright, so now, very carefully, I'm going to slide the ligature over the top, like that, while holding the reed in place. So, right now, it's looking pretty good, but I actually want to get this metal ligature a little bit lower, so I hold the reed in place so it doesn't move around. And that is where I want it, just like that. You can see the metal is down on this hard part of the reed where it's thicker, not on the lighter, thinner upper part of the reed. And the top of the reed is a pretty good placement. It's almost flush with the top of the mouthpiece. If the reed was too high, air won't be able to get in there and the reed won't vibrate and make a sound. If the reed was too low, too much air will go into the clarinet and it won't make a clarinet sound. It'll just sound like air is going through it, which won't work for you. So once you have this placement, you can tighten these screws here by twisting them forwards away from you, like this. You don't need it super duper tight, just tight enough so that the reed is going to stay in place. And when you have it tightened, just double check that your reed hasn't wiggled around or moved too much. Mine's wiggled a little bit, so I'm just going to adjust it by that bottom part there. And if I've done everything right, let's see if my clarinet makes a sound. There you go. So those are the steps for assembling a clarinet. I suggest when you're just getting started, try repeating that over and over again until it's just kind of committed to memory. I've been doing it for like 10 years, so I don't have to think too much about it. It takes me about maybe 45 seconds to do it when I'm doing it by myself. When you're just getting started, it might take you, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It takes a while, but you will get used to it, so just keep working on it.